and then I will just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about. Same as per usual.
Let's send a message.
All right.
What's up?
Yes, rewatch this real quick.
What's up?
Might want to use the TP like a bit earlier so that we have it and then you want it so that you have it available once the fight begins. Whereas here the problem is that the fight begins and then we don't have it available, and then now someone's critical and we don't have TP available. So just I'd be a bit careful about using it unless our whole team's like grouped up or something like that, because the fight breaks out pretty fast here and we just don't have TP, and then now that means that we're down Junkrat.
Yeah. I usually do that. For some reason this round I was gonna try something new and like not do that, and then my team died. So
Yep. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right.
yeah.
All right. Already I'm noticing a bit of this thing, and last time we went over Sombra, so we probably have not covered like any supporty type stuff. Yeah, we just had the one Sombra session. So let's go over what I'm seeing right now is that you're doing overhealing. Overhealing as a basic concept is just anytime somebody's full HP and we're pressing healing, that's overhealing, and this does two things. One, it means that if we now try to heal somebody else who needs it, we're going to have a delay. On certain characters, you might need to reload. And then the other thing is that it's just wasting time because it's pretty much doing nothing. So the alternative is watch health bars. Watch for when people are full, or potentially even like, if they're very close to full HP, right? If the person's down 10, 50 HP, then you might you gotta think like, is this really the best thing I could be doing with my time right now? When the alternatives are, you could use that time to reload. You could use it to shoot your kunai out. You could be using it to look for somebody else to heal. Use an ability. Use ult, things like that. So you have a lot of different options. That is not nothing. And then that usually when this pops up, it's usually like kind of a habit. So you can see it, for example, here when we're kind of shooting into the wall, here when Monkey's full HP. Notice again in a moment here when we're firing it after Monkey when he's still full HP, and he's still full HP, right? So it's just kind of, and then still full HP, right? So
Yeah.
this is just something to keep an eye out for. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The first round I was definitely like super over nervous because I was a bit low on time and I had to like rush everything. So
Okay, all good. If you feel like if you had any other better games to go over, feel free to send them over. I don't know if you just had the one or not, but usually want games where you feel like you play average, because I wouldn't want to go over something where you feel like you're playing below average and you're just.
no, yeah, no, it's fine. I can while you do it, I think I have maybe one game that you could look at, but
Okay, so you're gonna look for
but
that in the background, or?
I was just trying to find a game where I only played Kiriko because sometimes I would swap off, if
Okay.
it weren't working.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as long as you're Kiriko for like a substantial portion of time and not just like a
Okay.
minute.
I'm still listening. I'm gonna look as well.
That's fine. Rip Brig, who just get off the map.
Futures are intertwined.
Okay, a bit more overhealing. Yep. Probably could have been shooting at. Probably could have killed the Mercy there if we just start shooting. I'm not sure if you're looking back at the screen now, but Mercy's like half HP, like right next to us, and Monkey. And this is a situation where like we were talking about before, where Monkey is not 100% like full on HP, but he's like like 85% full on HP, and then you have the Mercy right in front of your face, and then the question becomes, okay, well, which one's more value, right? To kill Mercy or to heal up Monkey 100 HP when maybe that's not the biggest priority at the moment.
Uh-huh.
So just gotta be thinking through things like that. Definitely could have if we just start shooting at Mercy sooner here, finish off that kill, and then she's dead.
Draw strength from nature.
On Sombra, I'm
Oh,
maybe checking. Go ahead.
um, never mind, never mind. I only have one for like the first third of the game, which is like not enough. So,
Okay, no
yeah,
problem.
okay.
Um, all right. I don't think we. I was glancing at notes, and it doesn't look like we talked about cross replacement with Sombra.
Uh-huh.
Um, so we'll maybe go over that in a minute with Kiriko.
Oh, wait. I think I have one. Yeah, I have one. I have one that's better.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay, sweet.
sure. Feel free to send it
Um,
over.
okay, sweet. I was worried because I didn't think I had any. But no, sure. Game settings. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I didn't think I had one, so here we go.
All right.
There's
And
one.
then, yeah, before we hop into that, I guess we'll just go through the thing I was
I'll
going to
Yeah.
talk
find my
about
own path.
since I texted out anyways.
Here we
So,
go.
crosshair placement, is that a term that you're familiar with at all?
That lesson's
Yes.
free.
Yes. So to reiterate a little bit for that, and then
Madhouse.
to go into like what you could be implementing a bit better as well. Crosshair placement is just placing your crosshair in the best place possible to hit easier shots to make your aim better on yourself. And one of the first steps to implement this is to make sure that we're aiming at head level consistently and just doing that
Mhm.
continuously throughout our gameplay. So if we're aiming down here, it means to hit headshots we have to go up to the head. It means more adjustment, harder shots. Whereas if we're aiming, and once again, like if we're aiming at body level, right, we're just shooting in down corridors, shooting into shields. We're just naturally hitting body shots. And in Kiriko, that's just not really anything we want to be doing. Kiriko, you do 3 times damage for headshots. Which is a major difference. So we want to make sure we are hitting headshots. And if we're doing all the same stuff and aiming head level, well, now headshots just kind of become natural because that's just where we're aiming. So we're shooting down corridors, into shields, at people, and we just naturally are hitting those headshots. To kind of continuing on that, you also want to pre-aim, aiming where we know people are going to be. So bots top right, we pre-aim at head level top right. So when bot turns the corner, it's very easy shots. It takes very little adjustment. Bot's left side, so we pre-aim left side at head level, and then we turn that corner. Very easy shots, very little adjustment. These
Mhm.
guys are on a little bit of a slope, so the same way we would look down on a Torb and up on a tank, we're going to look down on these guys. So when we turn this corner, it's very little adjustment, right? Don't need to
Ready?
move it very far, which just makes the shots much easier to land. And yeah, that's pretty much the basics of crosshair placement. I noticed you were hitting a bit of headshots, but then once we were in that room, which is probably where crosshair placement is going to be the easiest and most applicable when you're in a tiny little room
Shouldn't have took
versus
your head there.
wide out in the open. That's
Mhm.
when we were hitting a lot of body shots and we were kind of aiming a little too low. So just something to keep an eye out for.
Okay.
Okay. Um, Trying to think here. So I guess let's talk Kiriko Tech, just because that's usually handy to go over.
That's the spot.
How familiar are you with Kiriko Tech?
Like different mechan
Yeah,
I don't think, yeah.
all good.
Um,
Are you familiar with how many protection Suzu's she can use during her ultimate?
yeah.
Yep, how many?
3.
3. Yeah, there you go. All right. So that's already a handy one. Just making sure we're liberal with that. Besides that, are you familiar? I
You're
mean,
being rude.
usually everyone's roughly familiar with the with the TP range just because it's whenever you're able to TP. But are you familiar with the actual range of TP and then also the range on your healing?
30 meters for TP, and your healing is, however, also like 30 meters for tracking, I think, because it's how far you are.
Yeah, exactly. It's 30 meters once again for healing. It's 30 meters for TP, and you can see that the outline will disappear once we get far enough away from someone. And then the healing Ofudas won't target, though they will still do healing. They won't target unless we're within 30 meters. Okay. Have you adjusted all different settings on Kiriko as of yet?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I mean a little bit. I think I have my like the daggers type of thing on my left click, and
Okay.
then my healing on right click,
Mm-hmm.
so it's easier for me to aim.
Yep.
But that's it.
Yeah. So that's
Oh,
reasonable. Mm-hmm.
and also my healing is like it doesn't shoot all the papers at once as well.
Oh, yeah, you,
So
you toggled healing of food is off,
yeah.
or toggle healing of food off. Yeah, so
Mhm.
it's hold anyways. So one other thing that you could do here within your settings is adjust the sensitivities.
Mhm.
Are you familiar with what that does?
Yeah, it shows you how far, you can like I don't know, like have your Afudas target the person so you can see like the outline of your like swift step and everything. And no, yeah, the Afudas. And then like they'll target that person. I don't know if I'm saying that in the way that
Yes.
it makes sense.
Oh, yeah, okay. It doesn't just change the outline, but it also changes the actual range in which it detects. So, for example, if the swift step, right? Notice how I can TP to this person while looking here. Whereas if the swift step was at 10%, which is the lowest, I would have to be aiming directly on top of the person, so it's much less lenient. Which of course isn't something you want. You don't want it to be a skill shot. Same with your healing. You don't
Yeah.
want it to be a skill shot to have to be able to land it, but you also probably want it a bit more. You don't want it to be super lenient, because what could end up happening is that if you have a big group of people, and they're all clumped up together, you could end up TPing or healing the wrong person.
Mhm.
So you might be better off lowering them a little bit so that you're able to heal more accurately, as TP more accurately. Looks like TP has a wider range than the healing does. Healing has a bit closer of a range. It might be better off having healing slightly higher.
Okay.
But generally, my recommendation is between like 50 at the lowest. I don't think for Kiriko it's best at 50, but on other characters you can have 50 to 80. Kiriko probably recommend like somewhere between 60 and 80 for those, and that's just gonna be a bit more accurate than the 100. Also, the swift step is by default 50, which I think is a little bit too close. So that'll help out a little bit if you have a bit more range available on it. Right. And also that's something you can change on a lot of other characters. Like you can change that on Sombra's hack range.
Mhm.
You can change that on Zen Orbs and on a Nano Boost, stuff like that. All right. I think that's about it. Final thing I guess like is a really quick thing is that you can sing your ultimate down objects very easily. Though you can't do it up objects unless it's a stairway or a very small object.
Mhm. Okay.
All right. So that can be helpful, for example, if you have like teammates up on a high ground or something of that sort. All right, grab the code now.
You're also gonna be able to see my friend in here. Her name's Bingo. So we're Bingo and Bongo. It's kind
Nice.
of stupid. Yeah.
Oh, all right, there we go. Game loaded and a bit slow. Probably because I accidentally opened up the browser again.
Mhm.
Or the Battle.net launcher.
Someone needs
That's
to
what I meant to
fill
say.
this saddle.
Bingo and bongo. As in the cats.
No. We just I don't know. It just came up.
Okay. I think yeah, there. Just make sure we're coming out on time. I think we're lagging behind our team a little bit because we should, if we were coming out on time, I think we would have been where Symmetra is right now. So just be careful that we're come into the fight on time. Also, pay attention to the people who are in the fight. They kind of come first priority. So, paying attention or coming out on time so that we can see Doomfist earlier, making sure that we're looking and watching for those people who are in the fight, not outside of the fight first. That's the first priority. Plus, we kind of glanced at him and he was critical. And then we kind of let 2 teammates die before we even really look at them. So that's more a bigger thing was just the fact that like we didn't even notice until it's too late, and then that can kind of start the snowball in their favor.
Mhm.
Usually team who wins first fight, like it isn't a guaranteed win, but team who wins first fight does have an advantage in different capacities, such as they just are able to potentially push it further. That's one extra fight they have in their belt. Additionally, that can give them a ult advantage, and they also can give them a like mental advantage if your team gets tilted after like even mildly tilted. They still lost a fight, so just gotta be careful about like giving up free fights like that.
Yeah, my friend is on a pretty shitty laptop, and
Mm.
so I can't really, they're doing really good for like what they have. So,
Hmm.
um like they are constantly on like 50 FPS. I feel
Mm.
like awful for them, but it's I'm getting them a new laptop for their birthday, I think.
Oh,
So, or like I'm helping them get like a really, really nice
nice.
laptop. So,
Don't let them push any further.
All right.
Close your eyes.
Good sleep. Probably want to be just chucking in some antis at the moment. Maybe we'll go a bit more in depth on that, but antis are very powerful when we're landing them. Oh, there we go, but we kind of chucked that at Ryan there.
she's the Ana, by the way. So,
Oh!
yeah, no, I was trying to.
Oh!
Yeah, no, I'm not good at Ana. I'm not
Nope.
good at Ana.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would make sense because we were supposed to be going over
Yeah.
Kiriko.
No, I'm not a
That's
good Ana.
that's why you were making that comment about about your
Yeah,
friend.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that was confusing me, if I'm not gonna lie. Or that, like just mildly. That's my apologies. I got confused with the
No.
bingo and bongo. I forgot which one
No,
you
no,
were.
it's okay, it's okay.
Here's some good fortune.
All right. Yeah, I'd be careful about TPing in on top of him if he's like in the middle of 5 players. Just because that will probably get you killed a lot of the times. It's
Yeah.
more. It'll depend on the scenario. Like if it's less people, if you have cover you can use, if your team is closer, if the person who you're TPing to can offer a bigger distraction than they are. Like if it's a primaling monkey or something like that, or blading Genji, they can offer a bigger distraction for you. Um, so there's a bunch of things just to watch out for. In knowing if you can TP in, and usually you can't just like kind of flat up TP into 5 people and
Yeah.
expect to make it out unless you have something else
Yeah.
going in your favor.
Ugh, we lost the lead.
Okay, a bit more overhealing here.
Yeah.
Just start tossing in kunai. Watch the E usage. So
Uh-huh.
I think in the last game we were in, you were using it decently. But just generally speaking, it's used when you or your team are in danger, and that's the general
Mhm.
criteria of it. You don't just use it when teammates are low HP. Well, here Reinhardt isn't even like here.
Yeah.
He's not low. He's not in danger. He's not nothing. You don't use it when and you wouldn't even just use it just because somebody's critical. Somebody could be critical and behind a wall and perfectly safe, but you can also be full HP and right next to a Diva Bomb and very much in danger. So you gotta keep your eye open for danger. And here, this is just a situation where Reinhardt's not really in any danger. Nobody's even
Yeah.
he's full HP. He has full shield. He has cover. Nobody's even near him. So it's just
Mhm.
becomes a wasted ability, and that's a bit longer of a cooldown. So we gotta be careful about wasting our ability. Definitely want to just be tossing in kunai more than we are. We're still overhealing.
Yeah.
And then here, we end up getting killed by the McCree. Last time on the Sombra, let's see, did we go over? No, okay, so it doesn't seem like we went over any of that. What would you think would maybe be the reason why we die here?
Because I didn't notice him. He was towards the left, even though he was kind of visible at like one point, and
Mm-hmm.
he was at the right side of my screen. I went over towards the right, um,
Mm-hmm.
and then he kind of went after me.
Yeah, went over to the right. So awareness being one of them. Lack of awareness, not noticing that he's there. I'd say
Mhm.
another point is just that we um also weren't really near any cover. Notice how before we die here, more no,
Keep them in.
okay, before we die here, notice how we're kind of smack dab in the middle of the open.
Yeah.
So we aren't really using cover properly. Can I please leave? All right, there we go. Whereas we can probably be like inside here. We could be, if we're wrapping up around this side, we could use the car as cover. We can be using this high ground potentially. So either I probably say hugging this right side a bit more would probably be the best option here. And
Okay.
then maybe hugging left side would be a feature because we can maybe even shoot at him and duel him,
Mhm.
that sort of thing.
We. The barricade is.
Your team is close to taking the lead.
What's up? The breeze brings relief. Cleanse.
Pretty good cleanse. Uh-oh, we stole the nano.
I tried making use out of it.
Nice
But
headshot. Should I say that again?
I tried making use out of it
Yeah.
because yeah, but um no, it's kind of funny because my friend is, like a hardcore Ana main, and I play Mercy and Kiriko and Lucio. But sometimes when we play Mercy and Ana, we do Nano Mercy, and I can get like uh I guess like a lot of like play of the games
Nice.
because of that. But so I think she might have just gotten used to that, and
Yeah, definitely possible.
yeah.
I like my ideas too.
Our secret, our combo.
Restoring balance.
Let's get moving!
大丈夫? Let the kitsune guide you.
Okay. Probably cleanse not necessarily needed because he's. I'm not. Yeah, it's not the worst cleanse, but at the same time, he's also maybe not an immediate danger. Though if we did plan, the other thing is that we also it looks like we Kiriko right afterwards. So if that was our plan all along, then it's not that bad of an idea because we're gonna get it back soon. So overall, that maybe could have used it, maybe could have held on to it. Okay. Just way too much of an overemphasis on healing every fight. I'd say
Yeah.
look to like healing is needed or healing is done when healing is needed, and when it is not healing. Man, my words are not working right now. Healing is
No, it's okay.
done when healing is needed, and when it is not needed, then we damage. Right? That's essentially the
Okay.
general rule. And there's a lot of times when every single person on our team is full HP and we're still healing and we're still healing, and then it's seconds and seconds and seconds and tens of seconds, and then those tens of seconds per fight really adds up to a lot of time per game that we're spending
Yeah.
doing nothing when we could be damaging and actually getting carry value by getting elims and whatnot. So
Uh-huh.
right now we're doing maybe like 85% healing, maybe 10, maybe like maximum, I'd say it's 20% damage with our playtime. But we probably want to tilt that a bit more so that it's more like it'll kind of depend on the game, but it probably will be more like 60-40 or
Mhm.
potentially 50-50. Like I said, it'll depend on which game you're in, how much damage is your team taking, how much
Yeah.
healing can your other support do, what team composition is your team and the enemy team on, right? That
To
sort of
be
thing.
to be honest, I sometimes do get like a little insecure, and that's why I overheal.
Hmm.
Cause the enemy team, like if we lose the game and then they have more heals than I do, then they're like, oh, heal diff, blah
Hmm.
blah blah and
Yeah.
stuff, and like you know I want to kind of like I don't know. It's stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to be like cuz usually like healers like us and like the other healers we have like some sort of like conflict, you know. Um I don't know.
Yeah, and ultimately the and that's just like a false belief about that, where everybody, like, there's a lot of people who play this game and they go, "Oh, I have more healing, I'm the better support. Oh, I
Mhm.
have more damage, I'm the better support. I'm the better DPS." Um that sort of thing. I have more mitigated damage on tank, I'm the better tank. No, not by a long shot. Those stats are honestly, unless it's abnormally off, like if you're in a game that, went for 20 minutes and one support has 15-20k healing and then another support has 4, then
Yeah.
there's something where you're like, okay, that is abnormally off and that's an issue. But unless it's abnormally off, the difference between
Mhm.
even a couple thousand is not that big of a deal. And there's so many different factors that come into, how much healing you're doing. And this is the same thing for those other stats I was talking about. But it'll depend on, okay, what support are you playing? Certain supports do more raw healing than others. Some supports are easier to land healing than others.
Mhm.
On top of that, you have to think through, okay, what team comp are you running? What team comp is the enemy running? Because sometimes your team comp doesn't need that as much healing, right? So think, for example, in a dive composition, your team might need less healing than if your team is running into them and brawling with like a Reinhardt. Sometimes that takes more
Mhm.
healing to keep the Reinhardt alive. The other thing would be how much team like damage is your team like actually taking, right? You could have a game where your team is just taking damage the entire time and then you're doing healing for 70-80% of the game, and that's not necessarily a that sometimes that's going to be needed, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you had a better game just because you had more raw healing.
Uh-huh.
So honestly, I would just look to, I guess, change your mindset around, and people will, I don't know, this is very similar, for example, to the gold medal in Overwatch 1. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Did you play Overwatch 1 very
Yeah,
much?
I played it for like 2 years. I
Yeah.
wasn't, like a hardcore veteran, but
So, well, even within 2 years, you've probably heard people
yeah.
going, "I have,
Uh-huh.
I have 4 gold. How are we losing this game? I have gold
Yeah.
damage," right? That sort of thing.
No, every day, yeah.
And it really isn't nonsensical because, okay, well, somebody on the team has to have it, and you probably only have it. You're probably only ahead of us by a little bit. And we're also still losing, so it doesn't really change anything. So I would just see it as the same thing. No, people are still, even no matter how long ago, Overwatch went on for like 5 years, 6 years, and people were still going on about gold medals. So I'd probably say it's just gonna be the same thing. Even if they're
Mhm.
wrong, just expect people to go on and on about the stats because that's the new Overwatch 2 version, even if it doesn't make any sense. So I would not put any attention into how much healing you're doing. Put attention to how you're playing the game,
Okay.
because you're going to be winning more often, and then maybe if you're winning more often, you'll have to deal with that a little bit less anyways.
Mhm. Okay.
All right. Maybe this next fight, we're going to take a look and see how many seconds we overheal for, and see if we can look to compute that into how much time we're spending that for the whole game. And then after that, we'll be done with it because I don't want to spend the whole session on that. Um, oh, when you throw your Suzu at a teammate, you never want to, or not never, never, but usually not, you will not want to throw your Suzu directly at them. Because if you
Okay.
miss, then it just goes sailing past the person into
Yeah.
Narnia.
Uh-huh.
But if you instead aim at the floor, then or potentially walls or ceilings, then you firstly get the large splash radius that it provides. Secondly, the floor is not going to move, so you're not going to be as likely to miss. The people will move, the floor won't. It can stop it from just like I said before, go sailing past them, and then also that's going to allow you to hit more people by throwing at the ground in between as many people as possible. So don't try to go straight at Reinhardt. Look at the ground when you're throwing it. Okay, so here Reinhardt's taking a bunch of damage, so healing's fine. Reinhardt's just standing out in the open. Alright, so now the fight's solidly started. Let's start counting. Okay, this is how much we're overhealing this fight. Okay, so now Reinhardt's full HP. So let's see. 1. Oh, we start damaging. Nope. 2. And we look at Reinhardt. Oh, and then we're dead instantly. Never mind. Alright. Potentially Suzu or your TP can help here, but that would either require very fast reaction times or knowing that the shatter's coming. Both of which I'm not gonna spend too much time on because it's not a massive deal. I mean, that's a little bit more advanced, so we don't have to focus on it.
Mhm. I feel weird because I feel like I am just learning Kiriko and like for some reason I feel like the ranks are like really off because uh I know I'm not in platinum with her yet.
Mhm.
Um and like in Overwatch 1 with my best heroes in support I was high gold and
Oh, okay.
yeah, and now I'm like platinum 1, which makes no sense at all. Maybe it's because there's new players and everything,
Hmm.
but I don't know about that.
Interesting. So you actually got placed up like a whole rank. That's cool.
Uh-huh.
Um,
But
so do you feel like you've been well, I mean, if you're how many games have you played since that initial placement on support?
I have only played competitive.
Okay.
Um
Uh,
so cuz
don't read too much into it. And if you've played, I don't know how long you've been going, but if you've played a week, 2 weeks, if you've played over the course of time where you've gone through multiple rank ups and you have yet to drop out of platinum, then that means that you're able to hang in that environment and the game places you in the right spot if you're not dropping out. Because otherwise you'd be losing those games and then you'd be out.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
But you know it's weird though cuz I win maybe 90% of my games when I'm platinum 4 through platinum 2. And then as soon as I hit platinum 1, which is I just hit it again, I lose maybe like 60% of my games.
Mhm.
And then I drop back down and
Yeah.
it's kind of like a bing bong sort of thing.
Hmm. Yeah, so that's probably just because you are hitting your current skill plateau where you now kind of need to like your current skill is getting you to platinum 1 and then you need to kind of have some sort of improvement to be able to go beyond and further than that. So you
Yeah.
need a little bit of a spike to go and then that way you'll be able to climb out of that.
Okay, yeah.
I won't let you fall.
Okay, here right now, I like that we're okay. That's fine because we're looking back. That's the sort of thing you can be doing as Kiriko. You just want to be careful as if you're doing that. Okay. Um. Okay, so you can see cross replacement once again a little bit in here. We're look at when we're dropping where our crosser's at, and when we adjust it, look at where it's still at, and then we adjust it up here, and then look at where it's at on Moira, for example, here. Right, it when we're adjusting it up, it's only at shoulder have level. It's still at shoulder level, so that's just gonna mean that all those shots if we land them, unless we adjust, which once again, that's going to take more effort and it's going to be harder to land. Unless we adjust, those are going to be body shots. And then that just means less overall damage. Watch spam jumping. You don't want to go jump, 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 jump. That makes it easier to hit. Also watch walking in straight lines. We kind of just sprint at them here. We also miss a lot of shots.
Yeah.
So I got a little, maybe got a little bit over aggro there. Just kind of sprinted into their team. Okay. Let's see if we can count it up here. So right now, pretty much full speed. This is where we can maybe be going and just doing some damage for a second. Healing a Brian wouldn't be that big of a deal, but let's start counting it about now once the fight starts. Or honestly, it's probably going to be even more apparent in like the poking stages of fights, because here the fights actually started right now, and once the fight starts, your team's going to be taking a lot more damage. So it's even more apparent when you're poking. Whereas here now Reinhardt's actually taking damage, so it's fine. But notice that we're still healing now. 1, 2. Okay. That's a decent rush, though. Know that that's not helping out anybody who's behind you at the moment. Like the Ana and the McCree are gonna have to kind of walk into that to get value out of it. Or is that a soldier now? Yeah, we have a soldier now. Never mind. I don't even know if we ever had a McCree. I might be just insane. But the soldier and the Ana aren't going to have value out of that if we're pushed so far forwards. Also, note that how we push out of it after we place it. So we place it, and then we immediately push out of it when we could maybe just use the cover like on Cart there. Like the little barrier that he's pushing. Probably could just be using that as cover. So we kind of just exit our ultimate. Yeah, just playing your ult, you're gonna be getting a lot more value. Your ultimate's insane. You gotta look to utilize it, right? It's higher movement, higher shooting fire rate, higher reload rate, 3 times ability speed. So it's pretty insane. We want to just make sure we're capitalizing off of that. Okay, good Susu. Okay, now back to the overhealing again. I'd say want to get a bit more used to shooting. Yeah, like honestly, it's a massive thing. Last time did we? Okay, yeah. So we did talk about last time warming up. While you're playing, how's that been going?
I have been trying to do that more often, but usually when I start playing, I'm doing it with my friend over a phone call. So, what usually inspires me to start playing is when, she calls me and then we hop in. And so she doesn't like warming up at all. And like, yeah, the things that like she warms up with though, it's kind of like an outdated warm up thing where you can't use Kiriko in it at all.
Gotcha.
When I do play by myself, I try and warm up, but
All right.
that's like the minority of the time.
Yeah, I would look to maybe convince her, like say like, hey, my coach says I should do it, that sort of thing.
She's
Just because it's
very like anti-coach, to be
anti-coach.
honest.
All
Yeah.
right.
So yeah.
All right,
Which is
gotcha. Well, it's definitely an interesting perspective, but in any case, yeah, whenever you do get the chance, I'd go for that. And then also the other thing is that
Okay.
you can practice in those modes as well. Your aim, just because it is a lot of those modes, like Triad Free for All, those are aim centric, so you're able to not just warm up your aim, but also practice your aim, which could probably be helpful because we're noticing just a large amount of missed shots as well. On top of the fact that we're not really even shooting very much, we're also missing a lot of shots that we do go for. So make sure you're leading your shots, aiming ahead of where we know people are going to be. Crosshair placement is going to be a massive thing in landing more shots. And then also just practicing it, because if you're only shooting for 20% of your game, imagine if we start shooting for 40% of our games. Well, now that's a whole, that's 2 times the amount of time that we're damaging, which will add up to a lot of extra time to practice shooting.
I think back then in this game, I was accidentally still on the Asia servers,
Mm.
so my ping was going kind of up. And also, like, no, I'm not like using this as like an excuse or anything, or I'm trying not to, but
Does your friend play on
uh
Asian servers, or like what were you?
no, it was American and Asian because she was on American servers, and for some reason I was still on Asian
All
servers
right.
because remember near like the beginning of like Overwatch
You
2
were
when it
still
was
on
like super
Asian
hard?
servers from like 2 months ago. Oh no.
Yeah. Uh-huh, yeah. So everything since then has been, I just swapped it off yesterday. So
All right.
Um, but also, I play on like a really good like monitor, that is supposed to have like a lot of like hertz and everything, and I,
Hmm.
swapped all of my settings to work with that, and like I did all like the different like things in NVIDIA and in game, and for some reason I'm still getting like 100 FPS,
Hmm.
which is kind of awful, but
Okay. So I guess a couple things on that. Firstly, is that so that you're getting 100 FPS, not hertz. So
uh-huh.
in your video settings, like you've gone to graphics quality, you've like
Yeah.
you put everything on the lowest
Uh-huh.
possible. Okay.
Lowest, yeah.
Do you make sure that you don't have like other things running in your background while you're
Yes.
playing, like aside from maybe like an occasional Discord? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It could just be to do with like your graphics card or like your computer itself, because having a high hertz monitor doesn't get like the monitor
Uh-huh.
doesn't have any relevance to what FPS your PC can attain. So do you know
How do you
know
check that?
if
Um,
you actually go in game, it shows it right. There's other ways outside the game, but in game actually shows you right in video settings. If you notice, like, it'll say above my display mode here, it says what my graphics card is.
yeah, I think I remember what it was. I think it was the GeForce GTX 30 like 60 maybe?
360. Okay, that
Yeah,
one
360.
should I was just actually looking at that the other day. That one's literally like the kind of the exact same as mine, like in terms of power. It's just like
Mhm.
barely better. So if I can hit 150 consistently, I would keep looking into that.
Wait one
Because you
moment.
if you have the um yeah, if you have the 360 series, I think you
No,
should
I got it wrong. It's 1660.
take. Oh, okay. So 16. Actually, I'm unfamiliar with that one, but you can look into it.
Uh-huh.
It's possible that that one just can't. I'm not like the biggest PC guy. It's possible that just
Yeah.
doesn't reach that level of FPS. In which case, look into it, that sort of thing.
Reality bends to my will.
Okay. Here we're a little bit ahead of our team, so we probably want to be back to where Ana is. Yeah, there you go. Maybe like mildly slow of a rotation. At this point, though, I think they just used a bunch of ultimates. Or I guess we use ultimates too, but okay. At that point in the fight, we just want to regroup. We're kind of just staggering up.
Don't worry. You got a long life ahead of you.
Okay. Bit delayed of a. Firstly, possibly could be going for a ultimate.
Mhm.
The other thing is that we probably want to be Suzuing. We do a bit late here. A bit faster reaction time could probably help out.
with you.
Come get healed.
Be healed.
Yeah, watch you. Still on the overhealing. Honestly, that's probably the most massive thing that if we mix around, that could just be like that thing that pushes us over into diamond, just off of changing that, because that affects so much. If this is a continuous thing that happens in all of your games, that's like we've been saying, that's a big chunks of your gameplay, minutes of time per game, maybe even like upwards of like 20% of your entire game that we're just doing absolutely nothing. And then on the vice versa, it's not it now. If we remove that, we've cut out this time that we're doing nothing, and then we're also adding in 20% extra value potentially, where we're getting kills and elims and things like that. Whereas this game, we haven't really gotten any kills or elims. We've kind of like we've maybe gotten like one, maybe two once in a while where we'll pepper something down, but it's not very common. And you'll notice that when you start to get like really good value and carry value, you're not killing things like, usually you're not going to get more elims than your DPS and tank, but you'll have a substantial amount of solo kills, right? Just because Kiriko is able to burst people down in different situations. So we just got to keep an eye out for that. It's probably going to be a really massive thing to
Enemy
work on
move.
here.
Stop them.
The kitsune is ready. Let the kitsune go.
Okay, so firstly, once again, I would use Kitsune from up here. That way, anybody from the high ground can, like, for example, let's look at who's up on high ground here. These three people. So Symmetra probably wants to drop to do stuff, but let's say Ana Soldier. Do Ana and Soldier want to drop into their team?
What? Sorry. Mhm. Yeah. No. Uh-huh.
You say high ground, well, now they can't use it. So instead, what we can just do is just use it from up here, and then that way they're able to stand it in and use it up here, and then not have to drop from the high ground, right? So that'd probably be super handy of an idea. Might even mean that we don't have to necessarily drop from high ground potentially. Also, watch the high noon, because we quite nearly die here. The only reason why we don't die is because Reinhardt saves us with his shatter, but we pretty much like jump straight into the high noon. Whereas what are two things that could have saved? So one thing that could prevent us from being in the situation, and then one thing that could save us right now from high noon.
If I use my like Suzu on like myself and like the people um above me,
Yeah, that's definitely.
like
But yeah, like if we just do it at the like a high ground.
yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely an option there.
And then one thing to prevent me from being in this situation, I'm not sure.
Probably just using cover, right?
Okay.
The most, and last time, yeah, we did go over cover last time because I have in my notes, at least, hopefully, I assume so. Good positioning is the usage of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover. When we are jumping straight into a high noon, that's an absence of cover. The easiest counter to high noon, the easiest counter to bomb, the easiest counter to sojourner, to visor, etc., is cover. You get behind something, they can no longer damage you, right? So just instead of jumping on the open, we could do that. The other thing that we could do here that might even be better than Suzu, so that we have Suzu available still, is we can just TP to Reinhardt, right? And if we just TP to Reinhardt, then that can, if we do that at the right timing, then that can be an animation you know, it can, because of that, what do you call that? That invincibility frame that can keep us alive through it. And then also we could use Suzu maybe like once we get down to him. Also, we use it like straight off the edge there, so we kind of get like 2 inches of our ult. When maybe if we curve it to the right there, if we like throw it to the right side, that might give us a bit more space with it. And then the most space would have been if we were like up here and we threw it diagonally here, and then we get like the full length. So Reinhardt can run in, and people up on high ground can shoot. So just be a bit careful about using it for 10 meters when it extends further than that.
Okay.
Okay. Quite honest, we're gonna do the wrap up and review, but I think that the main points are a bit obvious, so we'll go over all of that.
Okay, yeah.
Your swift step, not like there's maybe some situations where we could have used it a little bit better. Honestly, not too many issues with it. Oh yeah, off the top of my head, I don't remember too much. Your Suzu, make sure you're not trying to chuck it at people, but the floor between people. Besides that, use it when people are in danger, not just chucking it in randomly.
And what did we learn?
And then that's about it. Honestly, ability switch not too shabby. There would be once in a while where we misused it, of course, but overall, probably like low to medium, maybe like higher end of low to medium, something like that. Priority for you to work on.
Shouldn't have put your head
Then
there.
comes your ult usage. Ult usage could be a bit better. One, making sure that we're placing it for people on high grounds and people behind us, if possible. So an idea is if, for example, right, let's say we're enemy team's there, our team's here, we're like right here, and the Reinhardt's right here, but then let's say we have like our team like all the way behind us, right? Instead of placing it forwards here, maybe we could like do a quick TP back and then just place it like, back an extra 5 meters, and then if we place it back an extra 5 meters, that lets the people who want to sit back, that sort of thing. It'll kind of depend on the scenario. Sometimes you do want it to extend into their team, and you want your team to run in. Sometimes that is what you want to do with it. But overall, use it where your whole team can use it. Make sure it's not going into a wall. That's about it. Yeah.
Cool.
Overall, that one's probably about the same, not too high. Higher end of low to medium. Then comes your mechanics, and this one is gonna be your overhealing. Watch health bars. Pay attention to your teammates. Pay attention to to enemies as well. You should be damaging much more than you are currently. And you're healing much more than you should be. So damage more frequently. Heal less. It should be about a 60-40 split. Right now it's about like an 80-20 split. Being generous. Then on top of that, cross replacement, aim ahead level for easier shots. Make sure you're going for those headshots. If you're not, then you're not going to be doing very much damage at all. Aim where you know people are going to be at head level. But besides that, practice at it, right? Do your best to warm up. Maybe try to convince your friend. Maybe don't mention the coach thing if she doesn't like me. And then, yeah, just do your best to warm up, and then even practice in those modes, because that's going to allow you to put time and effort into it. Overall, that one was like a high. That was like very, like, I mean, you saw it. It kind of just kept coming up again and again and again, every single fight. And then that's when something's that pervasive and it goes throughout so much of your gameplay. If we can get rid of that and flip it around, that's going to be so much value that we could be getting. Because everything else seemed pretty solid. We weren't dying all the time. We weren't misusing all of our abilities. Our abilities and ults weren't too shabby. Our healing wasn't too shabby. So, like, our gameplay wasn't too bad. It's just that we were missing on a lot of potential value. So like I said, that was a high. Then comes positioning. Make sure you're using cover. Good positioning, usage of cover. Bad positioning, absence of cover. That's probably the main thing within positioning. Is just once in a while it'd be out in the open. That one was probably about more of a medium, maybe lower end of medium. And then comes awareness. Pay attention to your health bar. Pay attention to the health bar of teammates. That one was a big one. Pay attention to their danger levels. Pay attention to enemies and their health bars. The flow of the fight. What the heck is happening around me. That sort of thing. Overall, that one was probably about a medium. Came up a bit higher on the list. And that's about it. So number one, by a long shot, it was mechanics. Number 2, awareness. 3, positioning. And then a 4, you can kind of just tie between ability and ult usage, just being, you know, some more minor things to work on. So I definitely would, like, there's in this case, it's a very, very big difference in how much you need to work on these. There's just a very clear one that just needs to get out of the way, first and foremost. Any questions?
The breeze
No.
relief.
No? Okay. Gotcha. Recording